Hey guys, it's Gretchen. It looks like this is going to be my first video because I keep getting new evidence that's better than the last time. Trump did not lose.
But Gretchen, where's the evidence?
The evidence is out there and it's all around you. And I get so frustrated with this because I send people evidence and they don't even look at it. It's okay though, because this evidence will not stay hidden. There's too much of it. Drip, drip, flood. And to all my fellow patriots and anons that have been on this boat with me for a very long time, this is it. This is it. Now, let's take our country back.
Now, VCY America presents Worldview Weekend Radio with Brannon House.
Joining me now is Mary Fanning of theamericanreport.org. We'll be joined in just a little bit, thanks to the introduction of Mary to General McInerney. Of course, I've known who General McInerney is for a long time, but we've never talked and never had him on our broadcast, so we look forward to having him on. Mary, welcome to the broadcast again. Thank you for joining us.
Nice to be with you, Brannon. At this crucial time in our country's history, we are at the abyss.
Well, it sounds dramatic, but we are. Chris described it as we're at a crossroads. You describe it as an abyss. Use whatever language you want. This is an historic moment, and whichever way we go will have great consequences or great rewards. Serious consequences on our children and grandchildren.
Most of all, those who we love and our children and the next generation, because truly, as President Ronald Reagan said, if the lights go out here, they go out everywhere. This is the last bastion of hope. If we lose freedom, and we will under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, they are both hardcore communists. They are not socialists. They are hardcore communists, and they have both been for a very long time. The exposure of what Joe Biden was doing and his son Hunter Biden, that information had been on 47 hard drives that had been handed over to the FBI and the DOJ in August of 2015, and testimony given about that in December of 2015 in the FBI field office SCIF, secure facility, while Dennis Montgomery, a CIA whistleblower, came forward. He handed over 47 hard drives. There were 10,000 pages of documents, videos, and images that came from Hunter Biden. The FBI and the DOJ knew about the Biden's dirty deals with China. Now, can you imagine another vice president who has a child who's picking up a $1.5 billion here, or another billion in Ukraine, or another $330,000 from the mayor of Moscow's widow? Can you even imagine anything this traitorous?
No.
The information was handed to the FBI and the testimony. By December of 2015, they knew everything. FBI General Counsel James Baker, who is now the Deputy General Counsel of Twitter, took possession of all of Montgomery's material along with James Comey. They gave him 2 immunity agreements. He became a CIA whistleblower because Dennis Montgomery, a CIA contractor, had created a super surveillance system in 2003 after 9/11 to keep this country safe. In order to access this hammer, is the name of the supercomputer system. Military intelligence sources confirmed this. In order to access this, you had to go to every echelon of sign-offs and safeguards, 17 steps in order to access the hammer. It was that powerful. Remember, it's a foreign surveillance system. Even the President of the United States had to go through those 17 steps, including the FISA court. However, Brennan and Clapper, John Brennan from the last administration CIA director, and the Director of National Intelligence, James Clapper, they illegally stole the hammer. They moved it to Fort Washington, Maryland, a secret facility, on February 3rd, 2009. They then put a secret VPN into the Obama White House, where that They had access at will to look up and spy on Supreme Court. This is people that they did spy on. Supreme Court Justice John Roberts, Antonin Scalia, 156 Article 3 judges, 109 members of Congress. They were looking at business leaders. They were breaking into law firms that had intellectual property. They were basically stealing the keys to the kingdom. They were taking all the intellectual property from this country, including from our defense contractors, our military. Why would they do that? Now, we do know that John Brennan told that he, at one point, voted for Gus Hall for president, a hardcore communist for the Communist Party candidate. But these men stole the keys to the kingdom. They stole, and they were using this powerful surveillance tool, as Dennis Montgomery says, for the purpose of blackmail and leverage.
Okay, so there you go. There's the key. I want to know, you mentioned John Roberts. Are they blackmailing? Have they been blackmailing John Roberts?
According to the one of the people that Montgomery submitted that had been under surveillance that he mentioned specifically was John Roberts. And he told that the surveillance was for the purpose of blackmail and leverage. Now, this is very important. When he handed over the 47 hard drives, they were then verified. That means everything in 47 hard drives was verified. It took from August until December. Understand, there were 600 million documents of illegally harvested information about people, Americans. If you put every one of those documents one upon the other, that measures 30 miles high. 30 miles high of illegally harvested information on Americans, including our those to elected office, to the Supreme Court, to 156 Article 3 judges for the purpose of blackmail and leverage. After that information was verified, Dennis Montgomery was then brought to the FBI field office SCIF, where he testified under oath while being videotaped. He then received a second immunity agreement. Understand, if he had told even one lie, he would be in prison. Dennis Montgomery is not in prison. He handed over the 47 hard drives to James Comey, FBI General Counsel James Baker, and the DOJ, and they buried it. They knew what Joe Biden and Hunter Biden were doing. They did nothing about their incredibly illegal activities. Most important in relation to today, what they found is that Brennan and Clapper had what was known as an exploit, an application that worked off of the hammer. It was known as Scorecard. Scorecard was used to steal the vote through a prismatic scoring algorithm. So as they were leaving the points of the Secretary of State's server, they were stealing always at 3% or below increments until they did the final push at the end. And you would see that they were stealing the vote and they were flipping it. Under the whistleblower tapes that were recorded unbeknownst to the people who were speaking, they told that Brennan and Clapper stole the election in 2012 for Barack Obama in Florida. They also told that the hammer was used, the scorecard, that application, to steal the primaries from Bernie Sanders for Joe Biden in multiple states. They handed instead of a real race between Bernie and Joe, they simply handed it to Joe Biden.
How about Hillary? Did they do anything for Hillary?
Well, I would just ask your listeners to consider one thing. Why is it that Hillary Clinton felt no compunction to get on the campaign trail and work tirelessly like President Donald Trump does? Why is it that Joe Biden felt no compunction to come out of the basement and get on the campaign trail until the last week or so and campaign? Do you know why? Because they had the hammer. They knew they didn't have to. They simply could steal the vote, and the American people would be none the wiser.
And to the people that think this is crazy talk, you introduced me to Thomas McInerney. He's retired lieutenant general. That means 3 stars, I think. Lieutenant general, right? 3 stars on the shoulder?
That's correct.
Okay. Is he going to come on?
McInerney. Yeah.
Is he going to come on here? Is he going to come on here and back up everything you're saying?
Yes, he is, because he's aware of this, and there's proof. General McInerney was number 3 at the Air Force. He was in charge. He was had command of NORAD, the Alaskan region. Beyond that, he was also in charge of our nuclear weapons for the Pentagon. General McInerney is a man of sterling character and reputation. Dennis Montgomery, when he handed over all this and he showed that Scorecard was stealing votes, he told this to the FBI under oath. Understand, again, had he not told the truth when he was telling that to the FBI under the Obama administration in 2015, he would be in prison. He is not.
So you believe the hammer and all this was used last night?
If you watch the vote, there was some very interesting things that happened. They tell everyone to go home, and then there's a voting dump in Wisconsin of 112,000 votes. Okay? 112,000 of those votes that were dumped, 112,000 were all for Joe Biden, not one for anyone else. In Michigan, there was a dump of 138,339,000 votes. 135,000 of that dump were for Joe Biden. The same thing was taking place in several other states. I'll tell you what, Dennis Montgomery got in touch with Florida, where they had stolen the vote before, and he warned them that they were going to be watched and that they had better secure their system.
So if you know this, now I know this, our audience learned some of this yet from you yesterday. General McInerney, who'll join us in just a minute, knows this. Why is this not being talked about by Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, Mark Levin? Can the president come out and talk about this? Someone's got to come out and explain this, right?
They have done everything they can to suppress this. Steve Bannon on War Room brought this out. Then he was taken off of Twitter, and his platform was closed down from putting that information out. Would you like to know who closed down his platform?
Yeah.
Former FBI General Counsel James Baker, who's now the General Counsel at Twitter, the Deputy General Counsel at Twitter. He closed him down.
Joining me right now, stay with us, Mary. Joining me right now, honor and privilege, is to have with us Lieutenant General retired Thomas McInerney. General, thank you for being with us today.
Thanks very much for having me, Brandon.
Well, you're a patriot, and your bio is very impressive. I would encourage people to look it up. I was reading it today. You're a pilot during the Vietnam War. You have served in positions under the Secretary of Defense and the Vice President of the United States. The list is long. I won't go through it all, but it's a very, very impressive resume. General, we've been learning from Mary about the hammer. And when you hear this, you think, well, this has just got to be the stuff of conspiracy. But then along comes a guy like you with 3 stars, that you had on your shoulder, giving a lot of credibility with your bio, and you're backing up everything she's saying in regards to this hammer, because I think I heard you on Steve Bannon talking about it. What are your thoughts? We want to hear it from you. Tell us about it.
Well, the fact is having come out of this business in my military career, as a commander and number of tours I had and leading the raid on Gaddafi in 1986, April 15th, this is the kind of intelligence that we use, surveillance systems. And I'm going to have to tell you that Mary is the one that tipped me off to it. And she has been a tremendous asset and source on what's going on. But fundamentally, as she refreshed everybody, the Democrats stole from the U.S. government a program called the Hammer, which is a surveillance program. And it has, just like you have in your iPhone, you have applications, and they have an application called Scorecard. And Scorecard changes votes. It was set up by the CIA and obviously for other nations to be used, but shortly after Obama came in, like 2 weeks, he moved it out of the CIA to another location. And then when he left, he, Clapper, Brennan, moved the system out into the political world. They were using it politically and surveilling U.S. citizens. Mary has all the details on that. But the real issue the American people must know is Biden and the Democrats have turned that against the American people and on the election, and they're changing the votes. And that's why the confusion that's going on right now is what they are trying to do is to sow chaos. Now, you asked Mary a very good question. Why hasn't Sean Hannity or Rush Limbaugh or all those people talked about this? Well, it's frankly, I didn't find out about them doing this until Sunday. And shame on me, but the fact was, it was Sunday, and we have been on it. Mary and I and others have been on it. Dave Janda, for now going on 4 days. But it took us a while to get spun up, trying to get it to the right people, trying to get it to the president. There's a bureaucracy. I talked to very senior people. I can't divulge their names, but they're important people. And still trying to get the word out to the general public. Now, basically, Rush and Sean are behind. They're now talking about the corruption in the election process, but not how it was done. Mary and I are talking about specifically the tools they used, the Democrats used. And, of course, the visionary founder of this, Dennis Montgomery, and the important role he's played for our national security. But that's what we're talking about, the how. Sean and Rush are just recognizing that there's a problem. And so you are now, Brandon, well ahead of the leaders in this business in conservative radio and trying to keep the United States safe. This is a coup d'etat. I will just say that a very prominent American told me 1 hour ago, who you all know, was that this is a coup d'etat. It's a continuation of everything they started from the Trump campaign to the Russian collusion to the impeachment and every other trivial thing that they have brought up, the Democrats, to try to get rid of President Trump. And the reason they don't want us and Trump in there is because it's covering up all this, he's exposing all this corruption that we have seen in the intelligence community, in the FBI, in the Department of Justice. This nation, Brandon, in its history, has never seen such corruption, or in some cases it's treason, a whole host of actions against the nation. Clearly, you go back to Hillary Clinton's email scandal, what she was done, it's all wrapped up in that. And this republic will only survive, because this will be the last free election this nation holds if Joe Biden gets in.
I text with, he has spent the night in my home. He has spoken for us several times over the years, and I text with him as recently as 2 weeks ago, David Limbaugh. So when I get off the air, I will take this recording. I will send it to David Limbaugh. I will ask him to disseminate it. He, I think, is not only the agent and attorney for his brother, Rush, but also for Sean, for Mark Levin, I think for several others. So we'll do our best. We'll put this out. We'll ask all of our people to just bombard their social media accounts and anything else they can find to send this to them so they can hear the voice of retired 3-star general. Can I just repeat that, folks? This guy is retired. He had 3 stars on his shoulder. Go read his bio. If I may, sir, I think you're 83 years old. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so he's been around the block. He knows the players. He served his country. He was a fighter pilot in Vietnam. May I be so bold, from whether my book Marxianity or these other books and things I've been writing about, doing radio now for over a quarter of a century, over 25 years. And how long have I talked about socialism and communism and was mocked years ago for that? Oh, that's dead. The Berlin Wall fell, don't you know? Well, here is an American hero that was in the cockpit in Vietnam fighting the communists, literally. And now we have a president, or a man that wants to be president, who's on the verge of being installed with a coup d'etat, who has been bought and paid for, as you just heard from Rich Higgins, former national security staffer for the President of the United States, Donald Trump, telling us he is a puppet of the communist Chinese government. I mean, this is surreal that we're even sitting here having this conversation, General. This is something that would be in a movie, and you're not sure you would even believe the script. You would say, well, that's a great movie, entertaining, but it's fiction. That's Tom Clancy fiction. It's surreal this is actually being discussed today, and this is happening to our country.
It is, Brandon, and I would never have believed it. And these retired generals and national security people that are supporting Biden don't fully understand where he is going to take this country. And fortunately, the American people did not give up the Senate, but they are on a quest, and they have not given up. And what they are doing is taking the very most sensitive programs we have had in our intelligence community. And you look at what they did on the Russian collusion and the $40+ million we spent by Mueller, the former director of the FBI, who helped set up Hammer, and the corruptness there on people that were icons. This is all within. You look at Comey, you look at Clapper, you look at Brennan, all of them, and what Vice President Biden was part of, and what Obama tried to do to this nation. And we are on the verge of the cutting edge of either continuing as a republic, or we have become socialized, and the next step is clearly communism.
New World Order.
And General, if what we have seen laid out by all the evidence, and including Rich Higgins, former national security staffer in the White House for President Donald Trump, I will repeat, that's his bio, listeners. If he tells us, and all the evidence shows us, aside from the words of Rich Higgins, the compromised Biden family when it comes to the Chinese communist, then we add this to any corruption they have with Russia, which we've talked about, and the money coming from Russia to that family. Then we add this to the research of Mary Fanning, which General McInerney, I'm sure you have seen, related to the Club K cargo that we have been reporting on and put in our documentary back in 2018, that can lift up and have 4 cruise missiles, and the lid comes up with a command. Russia is the fully 100% Russian-owned exporter, and now we've given contracts, Port Canaveral and Wilmington, Delaware, to a family whose one of their members is formerly the head of the nuclear program for Saddam Hussein, developed a nuclear beach ball, this miniaturized beach ball nuclear weapon, and these people can bring all of this in and basically, as they've already bragged about in some of their publications that have been translated from Russian into English, a Pearl Harbor 2.0, or run one of these off of our coast on a fishing vessel, pull off an EMP or anything else, as Dr. Peter Pry, a frequent guest whose TV show we produce here, has warned us about over and over. Well, this becomes very dangerous because if they can do these things, General, then they can blackmail us, and they have a guy in the White House, if Biden gets there, that could apparently come out to the American people and say, well, we've got a deal, they've got us over a barrel. Well, he helped put us over the barrel because apparently this whole giving of these ports to this compromised family going all the way back to Saddam Hussein that's in a business deal with Russia, who's the 100% exporter of this Club K cargo system, his Biden helped do this. So the compromise and the ability to get us to surrender without firing a shot is overwhelming, General.
Exactly, and few people are aware of it, Brandon, and you expressed it extremely well when you bring it all together and weave this corruption. And frankly, President Trump is the only one that can stop that, that has the courage. Rich Higgins, by the way, is a superb patriot. I know him. He's a great American, and I'm just delighted that he's speaking out about this. And the fact is that's what we are facing. We are facing a very complex threat, and the Democratic Party at the top leadership has joined in to move this country in that direction. Open borders, the Green New Deal, all these things. When I talk to people, I say, well, you have to buy a new car. What do you mean? Yeah, all cars are going to have to be electric. And it stuns them when they realize what the Green New Deal is and giving up petroleum. And all these things, free college tuition, young people love that. And all of a sudden, you're part of the government. You do what the government tells you. And then you become like Venezuela because there's not enough money to pay for it. And this is what's behind this. And getting back on point on the corruption that we are seeing, the numbers that Mary is talking about, that they are moving. They've gotten so bold that they moved that 50,000 votes, I believe, in Michigan. And they're doing this without a cover. They're trying to move away from the covertness because they know it's their last desperate effort.
General McInerney, Mary Fanning has been listening on the line. I want her to comment when we come back. We'll just keep you a few more minutes because I have a couple more questions, and we'll let you go, General McInerney. Again, I encourage you folks to look up his bio. Very impressive. His last name is spelled McInerney. Retired 3-star general. And again, very sobering what we're learning. We got on it yesterday, and this is all breaking. And folks, you're hearing it. A lot of folks don't even know about this. All right, folks, I hope you will distribute this far and wide tonight. I don't know how to say it other than red alert. When was the last time you heard me say that? A long time, years. But this is a red alert. Tonight, you must go. Dalton will get this to us immediately. After the broadcast, we'll put it up at worldviewradio.com. We'll leave it open. We won't let it roll into the Situation Room in 7 days. We'll try to keep it open. But we got 24 to 48 hours to get this out as far and wide as we can. You just heard General McInerney, retired 3-star general, tell us that Sean's not talking about this. Rush, Mark Levin, Laura Ingraham, Tucker Carlson, none of them. We're not even sure they know about this. I'll be sure that Rush's brother knows about it when we get off the air and can send him a MP3 of what we've been talking about. But we, the American people, must disseminate this information. General McInerney, we are at such a serious national security spot. And again, I'm not, I honor your service, and I did not go into the military. And so I'm just a talk show host. So maybe this is an ignorant statement on my part. But my gut and my common sense tells me if the President of the United States is informed with the facts as you have laid them out with Mary Fanning, what we're talking about is subversion, treason, as you've already used it, coup d'etat. This would, I believe, require, because of the threat and the compromise of Biden and his connections to the Chinese and the Russians and other things, this will require the President of the United States to defend our country from enemies, both foreign and domestic, and to do what needs to be done to secure the Republic and our future as guaranteed under the organic documents that we love. And he has the power. He has the emergency powers, some I think 31 emergency presidential powers. They're still open. He has powers that he can take. And I, as one American, hope if he has to go to that point, which I hope he doesn't, but if he did, he needs to do it, because there's no coming back from this if these corrupt people get into power. You may agree, you may disagree, I don't know, but I'm looking at my kids and thinking we cannot roll and become Venezuela and let the Chinese and the communists take over our country. I expect the president, as commander-in-chief, to do his job and to take the power if he has to. Even it'll just drive the liberals and the BLM and the media nuts, but he has got to secure the Republic. What say you?
I am in violent agreement with you. There is absolutely no question about it, Brandon. But he needs the support of the American people.
Yes, he needs the support of the American people. So wake up.
And what you are doing, and what Mary and I are trying to do, is to educate the American public to what a precarious position we are in and why it is so important that they support President Trump. Now, we know his supporters are just understand that. It's those that support the Democrats that don't realize why they are supporting them. And if you watched them on television last night, they couldn't really identify what they thought Joe Biden had done. So we need to do this, and the American people must understand that the corruption that the Democrats are doing, and Democrat governors, from letting the riots go on and the mayors and all that, to this corruption of the voting system, is the most dangerous thing that has happened to America since the Civil War.
Well, again, folks, that's the voice of General McInerney, 3-star general retired. Go read his bio. This is not a man that is given to hyperbole. This is a serious clarion call. And the reality is, as he said, the American people must understand what we're dealing with. You cannot win a battle if you don't know who the enemy is, what they're doing, and their tactics, and the truth. And the truth can overcome the propaganda, the disinformation, the psychological operation, the brainwashing that is coming from the media right now and laying a narrative for you that they laid out very well. I mean, to their credit, they laid out their narrative months ago to how to respond to every turn in that Transition Integrity Project report that we went through. And now they're doing it just as we warned. But the American people must come to realize this isn't just about mail-in ballots and fraudulent ballots. It's about a piece of software called the Hammer and this scorecard that they've been telling you about. And you, my friends, are one of the few percentages of Americans to know it. If the American people come to know the truth, I believe there are people who are Democrats who will stand and say, I'm for free and fair elections, and if that means my guy loses, so be it. But we cannot become a banana republic or kowtow to the Marxist, the Islamist, the red-green axis, and have this kind of corruption. Even some of them, I think, have enough common sense to know from history, if any of them know history, where this will end. General, thank you. Thank you for what you do. I had General Jim Cash on my program a few years ago. I guess he was Assistant Director of Operations at NORAD. I don't know if you ever knew General Jim Cash.
I did. Knew him well. Good man.
Well, I think he's still with us. I think he's still with us,
Yes,
but
yes.
he's still alive. But he came on this program and he said one reason many retired generals don't speak up is because it's a club and you get the red carpet treatment at the Pentagon and you get health checks and security briefings, and it's a club, and a lot of people just don't want to break with the club, and he did. Well, apparently you've broken with the club, and I don't think many Americans understand what you have done and what you're doing right now. You're not looking out for your own best interest. If you were, I don't think you'd be here. You took an oath, and you're honoring it, and I want to thank you.
To defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, Brandon. Foreign and domestic.
Amen to that. Well, General, you're welcome back here anytime. You have my number. Call, text. We'll get you on anytime you need to get on the airwaves.
God bless you.
You too, my friend. Mary, thank you for introducing us to him. What are your thoughts? I mean, I'm just blown away.
Well, you should be. I want to add one thing. We have a new piece on Gulf Canner, the ports, the Jafar family. Joe Biden was the man who set those ports up and turned them over to Gulf Canner. It wasn't just Barack Obama. It was Joe Biden himself with Tiger grants. He set the table for Gulf Canner to come in. Further, in our new piece, we show that Gulf Canner is in business through Hutchison Whampoa with the Chinese. They are partners. Gulf Canner is not only with Russia and China and Iran, with all of our most dangerous, lethal adversaries. That is what Joe Biden brought inside the wire.
This man is so disqualified. In fact, he should be arrested. He should be tried for treason, and the federal law should be carried out. Agree, Mary?
Absolutely.
There are so many people that should be arrested and work doing the perp walk from the highest corridors of power. You just heard it from a retired 3-star general and researcher Mary Fanning, who brought it to him.
Now, there is more of this broadcast, and you can go ahead and go online and listen to the rest. The information is right in the broadcast to find it. If I put more, Facebook will censor me. So this is as far as I can go. They're probably going to censor me anyway, just like they always do. But I have to stop here. I might make a part 2, but I have other videos I'm going to put up that have more evidence of the corruption. Evidence of corruption like this is everywhere. It's out there. You need to learn how to do research. It's tough though, because you need to know where to research, because if you go to Google and search something, the first 100 results are going to be BS. That's what you have to understand, is that these same corrupt people own all media platforms. All of them. TV, movies, social media, newspapers, radio, all of it. I mean, think about it. If you are part of a group that's corrupt and you're committing crimes and you own the media, would you let the media report your crimes? And there were plenty of news channels on YouTube channels that were truth channels. But guess what? They've all been deplatformed. They've all been taken down in the Great Purge. I'm going to go ahead and end the video now, but more to come.